There's a battle unfolding, one no one else can witness. Not with weapons or armies, but a storm that brews behind your ribs. It's that inner war that kicks in when someone dismisses you, when your mind spins from a message left unseen, when a careless word knocks the wind from your day. And still, on the outside, you keep your smile, nod politely, and mutter, "I'm okay." Meanwhile, inside, you're barely staying afloat. This is the emotional war that nearly everyone fights silently. And truthfully, most don't win. They flare up, they break, they give in. Not from weakness, but from never learning how to remain steady when the world spins. Maybe you've spotted them. Those rare ones who stride into chaos untouched, whose emotions stay grounded while others unravel. They're not numb, they're not robots. They've simply trained themselves to be resilient. And this is the core of today's video. You're about to explore 9 Stoic practices that build real, unshakable emotional power. Not fake toughness, not pretending, genuine strength that doesn't beg for approval, revenge, or validation. And before we dive in, remember this. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, Seneca once said. And he was right. We rehearse heartbreak before it happens. We amplify pain through overthinking. So to become immune to emotional chaos, you must stop handing over your mind to imagination. Because here's reality. You don't have to absorb every feeling hurled your way. Not every insult deserves a comeback. You don't need to carry emotions just because they show up. What you truly need is discipline. Not the harsh kind that stiffens you, but the kind that liberates you. Stoicism doesn't mute emotion. It teaches you how not to be enslaved by it. It lifts you above the noise. It gives you the rare ability to sit in madness and still choose peace, to walk away in silence and win. And most of all, it equips you to triumph in the battles no one else notices. You're not broken for feeling deeply, but you'll remain stuck if you never learn when to feel less. That's what breaks you. These 9 Stoic habits won't turn you into someone new. They'll uncover the version of you that's been buried under turmoil, doubt, and weight. So if you've ever thought, why do I react like this? Why can't I stay composed like others? Then you're in the right place. Watch it all. Don't skip. If it already hits home, hit the like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're ready to become the most disciplined version of you, hit subscribe and send this to someone who needs it. And now, type this affirmation in the comments. I guide my emotions. They don't govern me. Let's start. 1. React like it's not about you, even if it is. Someone slings a jab. Someone lies to your face. Someone disrespects you so bluntly your chest tightens. Your gut response? Defend, lash back, correct them. But here's the lesson from Stoicism. If something external troubles you, the discomfort isn't from the thing itself, but your perception of it. Marcus Aurelius. So what does that imply? It means the pain isn't always from the moment, but from the meaning you attach to it. Most people internalize every slight because their self-image is brittle. A disagreement feels like an attack. A cold shoulder feels like abandonment. Criticism feels like erasure. But here's the habit to cultivate. Unhook your ego from the moment. Not because it's painless, but because peace demands it. When someone lashes out, remember, that reveals more about their storm than your value. Rather than reacting impulsively, pull back, breathe. Examine the moment like an observer. Ask, is this really about me? Or are they projecting their chaos? Ask yourself, will this still matter tomorrow? That breathing space between insult and response, that's where your power lives. Because when you stop personalizing everything, you unlock a deeper tier of emotional strength. You become the person who listens with calm, speaks with care, and doesn't react for the sake of reacting. You won't shrink. You won't erupt. You'll simply assess and respond with grounded intention. And yes, it's a skill that takes time. But the more you flex it, the sturdier you become. This isn't conflict avoidance. It's mastery of self. And here's the paradox. The less you make everything about you, the more control you actually gain over yourself. So next time you're pulled into drama, tempted to spar, or baited into a fight, respond as if it's not personal, even if it feels like it is. 2. Slow your emotional reflexes. Think as if time moves slower. You feel it, rage, panic, sorrow. It all strikes at once. Before your logic can catch up, your mouth fires off. You lash out. You slam a door. You block that person instantly. And minutes later, the regret sets in. That's what speed does to emotion. It hijacks your pause. It takes you from spark to explosion without letting reason speak. But here's what the Stoics taught. Always reflect that wrongdoers act not by choice, but out of ignorance. Marcus Aurelius. So slow it down. Not just your voice, but your judgment, your anger, your urge to react. When someone says something that stings, ask, what if this doesn't demand a response right now? What if I wait until tomorrow? You don't owe every feeling an immediate reaction. Your greatest strength lies in the space between. Our minds race, but wisdom is never in a hurry. If you want emotional resilience, you have to silence the speed that keeps stealing your peace. Picture it. Someone throws an insult. You pause, you don't flinch. You breathe, you step back. And by the time you consider how to act, you realize you're not even bothered anymore. That's growth. That's control. Intense feelings always bring urgency, but urgency is the assassin of calm. The emotions you feel in those first few seconds, they're rarely the truth. If you learn to delay your reaction, you give clarity a chance to arrive. You'll begin to see that most situations aren't worth the energy. Most fights are traps. Most intense feelings are momentary noise. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you intentional. That means you've chosen peace over pride. True control is when fire erupts in your chest, but your words flow like a gentle stream. Let them be loud. Let them rush and rant. But you stay still. You speak slowly. You act from wisdom, not panic. That's what maturity looks like. That's how you become untouchable. So next time your emotions come rushing in, don't let them take over. Let them wait outside. Let them cool off. Then decide what's worth your energy, on your terms. Now drop this in the comments. I pause to protect my power. 3. Break the habit of over-explaining. Let your life speak. You feel wrongly seen. Someone misjudged you. And your first instinct is to clarify, let me explain. Let me show them who I really am. But here's the Stoic truth. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You need to be at peace with being misunderstood. Marcus Aurelius said it best. Don't waste time debating what a good person is. Just be one. You owe no one a theatrical performance. Most people who demand explanations aren't searching for clarity, they're searching for flaws. And even if you give the perfect answer, they'll still distort it. That's why learning to stay silent is powerful. It doesn't mean you're hiding anything. It means you've evolved past the need to prove. You don't explain your transformation. You embody it. You don't justify your quiet. You preserve it. You don't defend every action. You accept it. Because the truth is simple. If someone genuinely values you, they won't need a full explanation. And if they don't value you, no explanation will ever satisfy them. So why drain your soul trying to earn approval from people who feed off your doubt? People will invent stories about you no matter what you say. Let them. Let them speculate. Let them gossip. Let them guess. You. Just keep rising. Keep rebuilding. Keep moving forward. Every minute you spend trying to convince someone who's already judged you is a minute you steal from your own peace. Speak less. Do more. Let your actions be your answer. That's not arrogance. That's emotional maturity. When you stop needing to be understood, you finally step into freedom. Freedom from validation. Freedom from trying to win others over. Freedom from bending your truth for someone else's comfort. You already know who you are. You already know what you stand for. And that doesn't require an audience or applause. So quit shrinking to make others feel taller. Quit trying to translate your depth for those unwilling to dive. Your peace needs no subtitles. Let your presence be your message. 4. Build an invisible fortress inside you. You walk into a space and something shifts. A glance, a smirk, a dismissive laugh. You keep your cool, but later, at home, it replays in your mind like a broken record. Why? Because most people go through life with no inner protection. They're exposed. Their emotions are out in the open, skinless, ready to be bruised by every look, word, or silence. You might look composed, but inside, rejection hits deep. And that's not failure, that's being human. But Stoicism offers a solution, a boundary, not made of steel, but of mental strength. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have control over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. In simpler terms, people can say whatever they want, but they can't touch your center unless you hand them the key. So, how do you build this inner defense? You draw a line and declare, my peace is not up for debate. You stop renting your self-worth to people who don't respect themselves. You stop waiting for emotional permission from those who never truly cared. This wall is constructed through silence. Every time you refuse to react, every time you let their opinion bounce off instead of sinking in, every time you remind yourself, this doesn't belong to me. You don't need to become cold. You just need to safeguard your soul. This isn't about pretending things don't hurt. It's about choosing which ones you allow inside. Because here's the truth. Your mind is sacred ground. Not everyone deserves entry. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your attention. So rehearse this. When someone tries to manipulate you with guilt, picture the wall. When someone lies to you, feel the barrier. When someone tries to tear you down, let the shield absorb the hit. The world won't stop pushing your buttons, but you don't have to let it cut you. You grow stronger every time you refuse to absorb their chaos. You don't stop caring. You stop crumbling. And the more you reinforce that inner fortress, the more immune you become to outside harm. Let them mock. Let them misjudge. Let them push. You have a wall now, and it's built with self-respect, clarity, and restraint. Comment this affirmation below. I guard my peace within an invisible fortress. 5. Prepare for disrespect like a warrior trains for battle. No one warns you, but here's a truth you must absorb. If you want control over your emotions, prepare for disrespect. It's not a possibility. It's a guarantee. It'll come from co-workers, from relatives, from people you helped, even from those you trusted most. And when it does, you only have two paths. First, let it catch you off guard, hurt you, make you lash out. Or second, meet it calmly, like someone who expected it. Stoicism demands the second. Marcus Aurelius advised, each morning remind yourself, today I'll meet people who are selfish, deceitful, jealous, ungrateful. Why would he say that? Because it's not pessimism, it's emotional armor. You don't train for peace. You train for when peace is disturbed. So when the world gets ugly, you don't collapse with it. If you want to become unshakable, expect cheap shots, expect unfairness, expect people to twist your words, doubt your intent, question your worth. When it arrives, don't be stunned, be steady, be centered. Because here's the secret, disrespect isn't personal, it's a test. And those who pass it aren't loud or defensive, they're grounded. You don't win by shouting louder, you win by not moving at all. Imagine someone hurls a stone at you. Sure, you could throw it back, or you could let it clink harmlessly off your armor. That armor is built from self-worth, from knowing your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone's inability to see it. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to plead your case. You simply hold your ground like a trained warrior in a storm. Each insult becomes a representative. Each moment of calm under fire is a drill. Stay composed, stay upright, stay focused. And over time, people who tried to rattle you will either respect your calm or retreat from it. Either way, you remain intact. Fairness won't always show up, but that's why you practice. Not for comfort, not for praise, but for command over your inner state. That's what makes you untouchable. Not invulnerability, but preparation. 6. Don't chase comfort. Upgrade your thinking. You feel weighed down, anxious, drained, heartbroken. So you reach for relief. Maybe a motivational quote, maybe a scroll through your feed, maybe a distraction that numbs for a moment, but fades just as fast. And here's why it doesn't last. You're trying to feel better instead of think better. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A happy life requires very little. It is all found in your way of thinking." Emotions aren't your enemy, but making emotion your compass. That's where the pain multiplies. The Stoics understood this long ago. Feelings are waves, but thought is the anchor. You can't control every emotional surge, but you can sharpen your thinking to stop yourself from drowning in it. So don't just ask, "Why do I feel like this?" Ask, "What belief triggered this feeling?" Maybe it's disappointment because someone didn't meet your expectations. Maybe it's sadness because your imagined future didn't unfold. In both cases, thought is the root, not the situation. That's why numbing doesn't heal. That's why clarity begins when you question the thought beneath the feeling. Once you shift from emotional instinct to mental inquiry, you unlock a new gear. You stop chasing emotional spikes. You stop fearing low moods. You rise above the roller coaster and become the one observing the ride. Try this Stoic habit in real life. When an intense emotion strikes, don't run from it. Don't fix it. Sit still. Identify the belief behind it. Ask yourself, is this belief wise or just loud? Most suffering comes not from reality, but from beliefs we never examine. You don't need another band-aid. You need a blueprint. Train your mind to think clearly, and peace will naturally follow. Train your thinking to slow down, and anxiety will lose its grip. Train yourself to think with depth, and your emotions will serve you instead of sabotaging you. Emotions are alerts, but logic is the steering wheel. So stop chasing things that lift your mood and start becoming someone whose mindset creates strength. That's the Stoic mission. 7. Don't assign meaning to every emotion. Let some just pass. You wake up feeling unsettled. There's tension in your chest. You feel low, agitated, maybe anxious. And what's the first thing your mind does? It starts analyzing. What's wrong with me? Why do I feel like this? Something must be off. But here's a truth that most never hear. Not every feeling needs to be decoded. Some emotions are just energy passing through. Hormonal shifts, sleep debt, chemical fluctuations, temporary fog. You don't have to attach a narrative to every mood. Epictetus said, "We're not disturbed by things, but by the stories we tell ourselves about them." And the same goes for how we feel. It's not always the emotion that hurts. It's what we believe it means. Maybe you're just tired. Maybe it's hunger. Maybe it's nothing at all. But instead, your brain builds a whole crisis out of one passing emotion. I'm falling behind. I'm not doing enough. I'm broken. That's not feeling. That's judgment dressed up as insight. The Stoic discipline is this: allow yourself to feel, but don't overdefine the feeling. You can be sad without labeling yourself damaged. You can feel anxious without assuming disaster is near. You can be off without needing a reason. Treat emotions like clouds. Notice them, acknowledge them, but don't build your identity around them. Because the moment you stop turning feelings into evidence against yourself, you gain inner freedom. You realize that some emotions don't need a solution. They just need space to dissolve. You can feel unsettled and still be okay. That's not numbness. That's awareness. You can whisper to yourself, "I feel off today," and that's all right. I don't need to understand it. I just need to let it pass. When you stop believing that every feeling is a sign, you stop letting emotions steer your life. That's how resilience is formed. Not by denying emotion, but by refusing to let it write your story. Emotions can visit, but they don't get to stay unless you let them. They don't hold the pen. You do. And a passing emotion is never your full truth. Drop this in the comments. I feel what I feel, but I don't let it define who I am. 8. Step into silence and struggle on purpose. Most people avoid quiet like it's a threat. The second there's a pause, they grab their phone, turn on music, scroll, click, distract. But here's what they're really avoiding: themselves. Because silence and discomfort aren't enemies. They're training grounds. Epictetus once said, "Hardship reveals character, so welcome it as preparation." If you want emotional control, then don't hide from discomfort. Walk into it, intentionally. Here's why. When you sit in silence, you begin to hear the noise inside you. You meet your thoughts, unfiltered, unedited, real. And when you lean into discomfort, hunger, loneliness, boredom, rejection, you teach your mind not to panic. You train your nervous system to stay steady when others collapse. Real growth never happens in comfort. Real peace doesn't come from escape. It's forged in fire, in stillness, in struggle. And the Stoics knew this. They practiced hardship not to suffer, but to sharpen themselves. So begin with 10 minutes a day, no distractions, no input, just you, breathing, and whatever thoughts come up. Yes, at first they'll scream, they'll rush in, but sit through them, let them settle. That's when clarity begins. Then add discomfort training. Take the cold shower. Say no when it's easier to say yes. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Resist the urge to please. Delay the gratification. These small acts teach your mind, I can handle this. You become someone who's been there, someone who isn't shaken by pressure because you've already lived in it by choice. And when discomfort arrives uninvited, it doesn't break you, it finds you already prepared. That's why Stoics embraced challenge. They rehearsed pain, rejection, failure, not for applause but for self-mastery. So train in silence, practice hardship, not to prove anything to anyone, but to teach your own mind. I am not ruled by comfort. I don't run from stillness. I face what others flee. And in doing that, I become unbreakable. 9. Examine every emotional slip like evidence. You lose it, you shout, you spiral, you act from a place of raw emotion. What do you do after? Most people either drown in guilt or ignore it completely. But that's not what mastery looks like. Mastery doesn't mean you never fall. It means you learn from each stumble. Seneca once wrote, "No man becomes excellent without friction. A gem is shaped through pressure." So when your emotions get the better of you, don't just regret it. Investigate it. Play detective with your own reactions. Ask yourself, what set me off? What belief was I clinging to? What could I have done differently in that moment? Every emotional outburst is data. It's a message pointing to an unhealed place. Let's say someone disrespects you and you explode. Don't just defend your anger, study it. Maybe the trigger wasn't their words. Maybe it was a deeper belief, like thinking you're not respected unless you fight back. That's your inner work, not theirs. And this is where transformation begins. Each reaction becomes a mirror. Each misstep becomes a lesson. Write it down. Seriously, journal it. Document the situation, the emotion, the belief behind it, and what you've learned. Because when you track your emotional patterns like a scientist, you gain awareness. And awareness is power. You begin to notice which people throw you off, which settings shake your calm, which thoughts hijack your mind. And soon, you'll start catching yourself in real time. You'll feel the emotion rise, but instead of becoming it, you'll pause. You'll say, "Ah, there you are again." And in that space, you'll choose differently. That's what Stoicism is about, not being perfect, but becoming precise, not suppressing emotion, but understanding it better than anyone ever could. Don't punish yourself for slipping. Study the pattern, because your peace depends on it. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. Every reaction reveals the path to deeper control. In a world addicted to outrage, noise, and emotional chaos, calm is rebellion, stillness is power. And you've now discovered 9 Stoic disciplines that, if practiced daily, won't just protect your peace, they'll completely rewire you. Not into someone cold, not into someone numb, but into someone formidable. You'll stop being yanked around by every trigger. You'll stop handing your emotional energy to people who don't deserve it. You'll stop unraveling every time life gets messy. Instead, you'll move with steadiness. You'll respond with thoughtfulness. You'll carry silence like a blade, and people will notice. They'll wonder why they can't provoke you. They'll get uncomfortable around your serenity, because deep calm, the kind you've earned through training, unnerves people. It's not what they expect. It's not what they're used to. They'll feel something they don't expect from someone so composed. Presence, authority, quiet strength. And that's the secret of inner peace. It doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't chase control. It just is. You don't need to dominate the world. You need to master yourself. And when you do, you become the most formidable kind of person. The one who feels everything but responds with logic. The one who walks through storms with clarity. The one who chooses stillness when others choose chaos. Let the world chase attention. You chase discipline. Let everything fall apart. You stay aligned. This isn't a temporary fix. This is your new foundation. Like this video, if something in it struck you, comment your reflections. Share it with someone you know is fighting their own invisible war. And subscribe if you're ready to step into this higher version of yourself. Now, type this final affirmation in the comments. My calm is my weapon. My power lives in my peace.